All right, awesome. So my name is Maddie. Welcome to 3x3x3. This is a strength workout. So what we're going to be doing today is a little bit of upper body, a little bit of lower body, and a little bit of core, and then some cardio kind of mixed in. And so what 3x3x3 means is essentially we do 3 big blocks of work. So that's the first 3. Within each of those big blocks of work, we'll do a section of upper body, a section of lower body, a section of core. That's the second 3. And then that will repeat 3 times. And in between each of those blocks, we will do a little burst of cardio. Today is going to be a 45-minute format, so a little bit of an express version, but we'll still get all of our good stuff in. So yeah, and it'll also make a lot more sense as we get going. So I'm just going to go ahead and read our waiver, and then we'll get started with our warm-up. If you want to pull up that Spotify playlist and start that as soon as we start the warm-up, that's a great place to start. All right, so in order to make these classes as freely accessible to our participants, we will be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you have moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. Oh, someone's coming in. If you are participating in a yoga class or a class that involves lying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. All right, guys, so as I said, all you'll need for this workout is a mat, water, a towel, and we're gonna get started. If you want to, let me put the Spotify in the chat one more time. Pull that up, start it, and that will get going with our warm-up. All right, guys, so we're gonna start at the end of our mat. A nice set stance. Our feet are a little bit wider than our hips, about hip distance apart. All we're gonna do is come down, put our hands on the ground, and walk them out into a nice high plank. And from here, we're gonna take one of our legs, it really doesn't matter which one, and we're going to bring it to the outside of our hands. All right, I'm gonna face you guys so y'all can see me. Let me bring this down a little bit more. All right, so we're doing something called the world's greatest stretch. It's just meant to warm up all of the nice big muscles in our body. So from here, what we're gonna do is taking the arm of the foot that's forward, we're gonna make a fist and connect it directly above the elbow joint. From there, all we're doing is bending through this hip flexor, bending through that groin, and allowing our elbow to come down to the floor. It doesn't necessarily have to touch, but trying as hard as you can to feel that stretch through that hamstring, through the groin, through the inner thighs. We'll do 5 big reps here. 4, nice neutral necks here, and 5. Now what we're gonna do is take that same arm, we're gonna thread the needle underneath the arm that's on the ground, and then we're gonna open up towards that leg. 5 reps here, opening up through that spine, through that lumbar spine, through that thoracic spine, for 5. And I've got 1 more here. Awesome. From here, what I'm gonna do is take my other hand to straddle and come around my foot. And we're gonna basically rock between a nice big hamstring stretch and a hip flexor stretch. So if we're in a hip flexor stretch here, what we're gonna do is bend that back leg, straighten that front leg, allow the toe to come up, keeping a nice micro bend in this front knee though, and then rock back into that hamstring. Sorry, back into that hip flexor stretch. So hamstring, feel that nice pull at the back of the leg, and then a hip flexor for 5 reps. Whew. Be feeling a little bit in that back quad. I know I am. And I've got 1 more rep here. And we'll stop in that nice long hip flexor stretch. From here, what we're gonna do is allowing that chest to come up, come into a nice long lunge, and connect your hands in front of you. What we're gonna be doing is also activating the upper body just a little bit. So we're gonna be doing pulses, 1 inch up, 1 inch down. As we go down, let's press, engage our chest, engage our back muscles. And as we come back up, release for 5. Making sure that knee is not coming over that front toe. Nice big lunges. Really feeling those chest muscles activate. 2 more for me here. Awesome. And from there, let's cartwheel those hands down around that foot. Bring the front forward foot back to meet the other one into that nice high plank. Bring that butt up into the sky, brace that core. as we walk back to the back of our mat and meet me in standing. That's one leg. We're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So let's go ahead and set that stance again. Bring those hands down to the mat and walk them back out. Remembering which foot we already worked on, we're gonna bring that other foot to the outside of those hands. Again, I'll face you guys so y'all can see me. Taking that same hand as the foot that's forward, what we're going to do, make a fist and connect it above that elbow joint and just bring that elbow as close to the ground as you can get it. Feeling a little bit of activation in those shoulder heads as well for 5 reps. 2 more for me here. Awesome. And now for that threading of the needle, we're gonna bring that arm underneath that standing arm and then opening up to that leg. Feeling it, letting that neck and letting that gaze follow our fingertips. So we're opening up to that neck as well. Last one here. And we're gonna bring that hand down, just straddle our foot, and we're just rocking between this nice big hip flexor stretch, nice tall chest if you can, and that hamstring as we bend that back leg, keeping that back nice and flat. Once again, trying not to let that knee come over that front toe. Hopefully those legs are feeling a little bit warmer. We've got one more here. Awesome, guys, and from here, let's brace our core, bring that chest up, and connect our hands in front of us. We're gonna activate as we go 1 inch down, and then release as we come 1 inch up. Ooh, my quad, ouch. Press with that chest, press with those backs. So we are gonna be working those muscles today. 2 more. And last one. Bring it on up, cartwheel those hands back down. Bring those feet to meet each other into that nice high plank. Brace that core and walk those hands back up. And we are done with our warm-up for today. Awesome job, you guys. So what we're gonna do, grab some water. I'm gonna walk us through the moves for our first big block of work. We'll get going through it, and then we'll do our cardio and move on to the next one. Need to grab my timer. All right. So for this, our first move is going to be an upper body, back, and shoulders movement. All righty, so for this, what we're gonna be doing is coming onto our stomachs on the mat if you'd like. All right, from here, we're gonna start with our arms in goalposts. So nice 90-degree angles with our elbows in line with our shoulders. And what we're gonna do is lift. We're gonna extend them overhead, bring them back, and then lower, just like that. Nice neutral gaze in front, bracing our glutes, and also keeping our toes on the ground. If we want to do that standing up, we can also do that just coming like this, just going up and down. If you'd rather just channel it really in those shoulders and not in that back. For our lower body, we're going to be doing a reverse plank with a toe tap. So we're going to come onto our backs with our feet long in front of us. Our fingertips point towards our heels. We're going to lift up. And all we're going to do is bring that toe and tap it in, toe, and then bringing it back. We stay up, squeezing through those glutes, squeezing through those hamstrings the entire time. I can give you options if you have some wrist sensitivities when we get there. And then for our core, we're gonna be doing a move called a breakdancer. You'll need a little bit of room on either side of you. We're gonna be in a nice big plank, just like this. And what we're gonna do is essentially, opposite hand is going to come to opposite foot as we rotate through. So we're gonna rotate and tap, come back to that plank, rotate, tap, woo, a little hip pop there. And I'm gonna follow a rotate, tap, and then come back to that plank. It's gonna take a little bit of those stabilizer muscles, but we are going to rock it. All right, guys, so meet me either on your stomachs or standing up, depending on where you'd like to be for now. I'm gonna start our timer. We'll get going with those goalpost extensions. Ready, set, go. So each of these moves is going to be 45 seconds long. We'll have a 10-second break, I believe, in between each of the moves. A little bit of break in between each of the sets. And then we'll go right into that cardio. So making sure that as we lift, we're squeezing those shoulder blades, keeping them squeezed, squeezing through those shoulders as well. That's how we're gonna activate both our shoulders and our back in this move, making sure that gaze is nice and neutral. So that neck, we're just looking maybe about 6 inches in front of us. I might be looking to the side just to make sure that you guys can hear me. but make sure that your gaze is perfect. 2, last one. All right, guys, come on up and come on over to your back for those reverse plank with toe taps. If you have wrist issues, we can either be on our elbows and lifting up like this. That is totally fine as an option. We can also be on our gorilla fists. All that means is that we put our fists down to the ground, so we're not hurting those wrists quite as much. But we're lifting, keeping that butt nice and lifted, pressing those hips up to the ceiling, and then tapping. What I want you guys to focus on is that as we tap, we're squeezing as we pull that heel towards our butt, squeezing with those hamstrings. So we're getting a little bit of glute action here, as well as a little bit of hamstring action. And we're just tapping with that toe. Not with that heel, with that toe, and then bringing our weight back onto our heels for this move. 2, last one. Awesome job. All right, now for those break dancers, so let's come down into a plank position. We need to stay on the floor for most of these moves. All right, guys, so come into that nice big plank. We're rotating to open and to tap, and then coming back, coming into a nice neutral plank position, and then rotating and back. So we're gonna feel a little bit of oblique engagement, so on either side of your abdominal muscles. And what I want you guys to really be focusing on with these moves is just bracing that core as we do it. All right, we can also try this on our forearms. Just gonna be a little bit more difficult, a little bit closer to the ground. But if you don't want to work it on your wrists, that is a totally fine option. Try to keep that butt out of the sky. It can be difficult with this move since we're moving it around so much. I'm gonna lift our feet up. Last one. And break. All right, guys, grab some water. We're gonna lay on the mat, or you can stand up if you prefer. For those goalpost extensions. Ready, set, go. All right, guys, so if you want to take it up a little bit, we don't have to do that tap in the middle. We don't have to tap right here. We can just keep our arms up and essentially just come right between that goalpost and that extension, goalpost, extension. That is another option for me today. I don't know that I can do that, you guys. I'm a little sore. My mom and I did a combat video for the first time. I think it was 2 days ago, and I'm still feeling it. We haven't done it in maybe like a week or so. Whew, it was rough. It was super rough. All right, squeezing those shoulder blades, bracing through that those abs, making sure those toes are pressed into the mat, taps the feet. Last one. Amazing. All right, guys, flip it onto your backs. For those toe taps, maybe if you did it on your wrists, we got a lot of wrist stuff in this little block, so maybe try it with gorilla fists, maybe try it on your elbows. I'm gonna try it on my elbows. And feel free to swap at any time that you need to during this little section of work. Really important though that we make sure we're pressing those hips up to the sky, because that's where a lot of the work is gonna come in, especially in those glutes. And then we're getting that hamstring engagement as we pull and curl those hamstrings in towards us. It's kind of like a reverse hamstring curl almost. So nice and strong with those arms, making sure that we're not locking our arms out completely. Just 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and down. All right, guys, back to those break dancers. I think these are pretty fun. They're more difficult than they look. As I'm sure you guys could tell when I was demonstrating, right? In fact, I almost fell over. Just bracing to that core. What you might be noticing, and what I'm actually really noticing, is that one side is much, much easier than the other. My right side, twisting to my right side, quite a bit easier, which makes some sense. I am right-handed. But just noticing that, realizing that that might be the case. And anytime we come back to that middle, I want you guys to focus on making sure that our feet are wide enough, that our hands, our shoulder heads are directly over our hands. Because once we set up a nice plank and then go into the twisting move, only then can we make sure that the twisting move is going correctly. Last one. All right, guys, a little break. Grab some water if you need it. Woo. This is our last set. So if you don't like any or all of these moves, we only have to do them one more time. So let's really challenge ourselves. Really get those reps up there. Really contract, ready, go. Contract those muscles. Really make your body feel each and every one of these moves in the exact place that it was intended. Making sure we're breathing through this. Really easy to forget to breathe when we're on our stomachs or doing anything that involves our core muscles. And you'd be surprised what this move does involve those core muscles. So we are just about halfway. If you want to challenge yourself, maybe drop in the middle of the move and keep those hands up. That is a great option. Keeping that gaze nice and neutral. We're almost there. We got 5 seconds. Let's do it. 3, 2, get one more in. Oh, ouch. Ouchie, ouchie. All right, flip onto those backs. Here we go. Last time through this hip reverse planks with toe taps. Again, maybe trying, if you've been doing it on gorilla fist, maybe see if your wrists are ready to do it. Put those hands down, but if not, that is a-okay. I did something like this last week where we just did lifts and lowers. I think I'm liking this toe tap better. Because that way, really allowing ourselves to feel the engagement and the activation in those hamstrings. Breathing through this one as well. First into that core. Let's press those hips up just a little bit more. We got 10 seconds. Let's do it. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. 3, 2, get one more in. Beautiful. Butt comes down to the mat. Let's flip onto our stomachs into our plank position. Our last time through these break dancers. All right. And then, if you've been doing this class with me for a bit, you know what's coming. We're gonna be doing some cardio. Nothing crazy, but something to get excited about if you're a little bit of a cardio junkie like me. All right, remembering that we're taking a beat in the middle to really set that great plank, because that's just as important as the twisting. And we're starting to feel it a little bit in those obliques, a little bit in those abdominal muscles that wrap all the way around our bodies. 5 seconds. 3, 2, last one. Great job. All right, guys. Amazing. So for our cardio, we are going to be doing, I don't know why I moved my mat. We're going to be doing long jumps, bending our knees, and then jogging it back. Ready, go. So big jump, making sure we're landing with nice bent knees, landing in a squat if you'd like. We can keep it nice and low the whole time. That is a great place to be. And then if you'd like to challenge yourself, we can high knees it back also. Change up that jog just a bit. Woo. Amazing job, guys. Seeing how far you can get with that long jump. Woo. You're taking a little beat if you need it. If you'd like, we do not have to jump. We can also just jog. We can do a step and then jog it back. So a big step and then a jog it back. Last one here. Make it count. And stop. Woo. All right, guys, catch your breath. That was awesome. Let's grab some water as I explain our next couple of moves. Woo. So, let me grab some water for myself. All right, for this next section, excuse me, oh my gosh, okay. For this next section, we are going to be doing push-ups with a shoulder tap, all right? We're gonna be doing lower body balanced step throughs, and we're gonna be doing some dead bugs for our core. So for our chest move, we're gonna be doing some push-ups. So what this is gonna look like, you can be on your knees, toes, and tabletop. All we're gonna do is a nice big regular push-up, and then a shoulder tap. Nice big regular push-up, alternating shoulder tap, just like that, nice and easy. Then what we're gonna be doing is working a little bit into our glutes. So we're gonna pick one leg for the first set, pick another leg for the second set, and then we'll do half and half. So we're gonna balance on one leg, making sure the standing leg has a nice micro bend in it. And then we're gonna balance as we bring one leg through, pressing to that heel, bending, and then pressing to that toe. I'm gonna turn to the side so you guys can see. We're gonna extend and press with that heel, heel down, bring it back up, and then press toe down, just like that. So a little nice micro bend. The idea is to feel it in that glute, feel a little bit in that quad as well, and then we'll switch sides. And then for our core, we're gonna be doing some dead bugs. So for our dead bugs, what we're doing is essentially we start in a nice Pilates tabletop with our knees directly over our hips, just like this, making sure they're not too close to our body, and our hands overhead. We're gonna extend one arm and extend the opposite foot. Bring it back up, extend, and bring it back up. Just like that. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and begin with our first move with those push-ups with a shoulder tap. Let's start. Ready, set, go. So with these push-ups, again, knees, toes, tabletop, any of those are totally fine options, and you can swap it up at any point that you need to. Really important things, once again, making sure that gaze is nice and neutral. So that means that's about 6 inches in front of us. Bracing that core as we lift that shoulder tap, making sure that those hips stay trained on the mat, so nice and square. Very good, guys. Keeping it up here. And our chest doesn't go below our elbow creases. Last one there, great job. All right, so now pick your favorite leg. We're gonna stand it on up. Stand on that singular leg with a nice micro bend, and just bringing our leg through and through. You can have your hands anywhere you would like. Nice, slow, and controlled. I really, really want you guys to try not to tap down the entire time. And if you don't usually do balance challenges, this is something that is quite rough. You'll be feeling a little bit in that back glute as we bring it back, squeezing to that, the glute of the foot that's in the air, but also feeling it quite a bit in that standing glute as well. So heel down as you go forward, toe down as it comes back, just so we get as much extension out of that leg as possible. Also bracing through that core will help you quite a bit. 2, 1. Awesome. All right, guys, and onto the mat for our dead bugs. All right. Here we go. So knees up, knees directly over our hips, and extending down and right back up. This may be one of those moves where you're like, shouldn't be that difficult, but it is one of my favorites because it hits ya. All right, so let's try to get to that place where we're really feeling it in those lower abdominal muscles. I want you to brace that core, brace that lower back into the mat so we really feel it in that lower body. I want you guys to feel that shake. Woo. If we need a little breather, we can hug those knees in and then come right back into position. And making sure as we fatigue that those knees stay above our hips. 3, 2, 1. Woo. All right, guys, grab water. Grab some water. Very, very good job. So coming into those push-ups once again, maybe try a different option. If one was too difficult or a little bit too low level for you, we can bring it up to our toes, up to our tabletop, or down to our knees. Any of those are 100% perfect options. So really important, guys, I want you guys to try to, rather than, I can even feel myself doing it a little bit, but bracing and putting your weight into one of your hands, I want you to try to brace with your core as we bring that shoulder tap up. We're also pressing with those fingertips and with those palms out of the floor with each and every push-up that we do. That's how we're really going to engage that chest. Feeling it in those muscles directly beneath our armpits. Last one. Great job. All right, so hopefully you remembered which leg we did already. So let's swap it up. For me, that's my right leg now. And we're going to heel, toe. You guys should call these heel toes because they're kind of funny like that. And again, those hands can be anywhere. I do suggest though that if you found a place you like them on the last round, try to do that on the same here. I like to really try to emphasize that we should try to be being even. I don't think that made sense, but we're trying to be as even as possible Whew. I'm just scooch back so you guys can see my face. There we go. And again, if you want to, if you got a mirror, or if you want to turn on your video and check yourself out, make sure that you're doing this correctly. You're more than welcome to. Heel, toe. Awesome. All right, guys, come onto the mat. With those, I noticed that my right leg's not quite as strong as my left one. All right, hands up to the sky, and we lower and come right back up. Lower, come right back up. Again, bracing that lower body, that lower back, pressing each and every vertebrae into the mat, especially as we extend, all right? This extension does not have to be nearly as low as I'm going, right? Just coming to a 45 degree is 100% okay. Wrong side. I would much prefer that your lower back stays on the mat than you reach a full extension down to the mat, all right? Much more about protecting our lower backs, feeling what feels good, just experiencing that shake, pushing our bodies to the best of our ability, and that is that. 2, let's get one more rep in. Very nice. All right, guys, once again, this is our last time through this little round. So if you hate any or all of these moves, we only have to do them one more time. So let's really get it, really press through these chest muscles on these push-ups. I know these are difficult. All right, ready, set, and go. That gaze is nice and neutral. Those hips stay square as much as possible. And if we don't want to be doing that shoulder tap, that is also totally fine. But what I want us to really focus on for this round, guys, is pressing out of the floor and feeling that engagement in the muscles underneath our armpits. That's where our pectoralis major muscle connects. That's where we want to feel this. 2, 1, last one rep. Woo, beautiful. All right, for this move, we're gonna do half and half. So pick one leg, doesn't matter. We'll do about 23 seconds on this side and then swap. So again, set with that nice micro bend. And let's begin. Remembering to breathe through this. Nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. Ooh, all right. All right, guys, let's switch it up. So set that other leg. Again, setting that micro bend. And then doing those heel and toe. If you want a little bit more in that quad, that standing quad, we can lower it down just a little bit. And toe. Woo. Heel. Told you my right leg, not so strong. Not quite as strong. All right, guys, coming down to the mat for those dead bugs. Again, last time through this. Let's get after it. 2, 1. Pressing that lower back into the mat every single time. So again, as we're fatiguing, making sure that our knees are not coming in towards our chest. We want them to still be directly over our hips. Ooh. Awesome job, you guys. All right, let's look at the cardio move. I believe it is hopped. Oh, no, we're gonna be doing some Spiderman lunges. All right, so for this, we're coming into a plank, bringing one foot up, and then swapping, just like this. Ready, begin. If you don't wanna be jumping, we can just be tapping and lunging. Main goal, though, is to try to keep that butt completely out of the air. During that jump, it will come up, but then bring it back to a nice neutral position is the goal. Amazing, guys, amazing. We're almost there. And again, if you have wrist problems, we can come to gorilla fists. Feeling like Spider-Man. Breathing through this, almost there. 3, 2, 1. Doing a little bit in those quads as well, my goodness. Give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all are rocking it. Again, what we're gonna do is our last block of work. We are just about there. So let's power through. All right. Grab some water. We're doing great on time. Awesome. So for this, you guys, let's go ahead and we don't need anything for this. Once again, we're gonna be doing our back, some quads, and then a little bit more of our obliques. Alrighty, so for this, we're gonna be doing a bent over row to work our back muscles. We got a little bit of back engagement with those goalpost arms. That was also mainly in our shoulders, so we're gonna really work those backs today. So for this, no weights needed, but if you wanna grab them, you definitely can. We are going to be doing, essentially, a dead row to our knees. So I'm gonna turn to the side so you guys can see. Nice set stance. We bring our hands down. We're gonna row backwards, making our elbows punch behind us, and squeezing those shoulder blades together, back to knees, and then come up. Very pure body pump move without weights for today. If you want to though, if you got them handy, you can do that. I'm not going to, but that's what we're doing for our upper body. For our lower body, we're gonna be doing some curtsy lunges. So make sure you have enough room. What we're gonna be doing is picking one of our legs. We'll stay on, actually no, we'll alternate. So nice set stance, curtsy lunges. All that means is that rather than going directly back, we're coming behind and to the side, feeling a little bit more engagement in this glute medius, gluteus maximus. And then to make it a little bit more challenging for us today, we're gonna bring our knee up and then we'll lift down. Switch, knee comes to balance and down, all right? So that's how we're going to challenge ourselves. If you don't wanna drop the knee, that's totally fine. And then for core, we're gonna be in a plank. So either up on our hands, this one can truly be up on your hands or on your forearms. And what we're gonna be doing are hip dips. So dipping down to one side and then down to the other. Letting your toes, you kind of roll over your toes as we dip down to the mat, just like that. Feeling it in those obliques. All right, guys, let's begin with our bent over rows. So 45 seconds, ready, set, go. All right, guys, so basically we're shaving our legs as we go down to our knees, bringing those elbows back, pressing those shoulder blades together, releasing, and then coming right back up. Again, if you've done body pump, you've done this move, you know exactly what it should look like. That gaze, just like we've been practicing, nice and neutral. It's about, for this one, probably about 3 feet in front of you, a little bit farther because we're not laying on the ground. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing to that back. This is a great opportunity to really train that back. We don't even have weights and I can feel it already. A little bend in those knees as we do that dead row. Excuse me. Yeah, that dead row portion. If you shave down, squeeze, release, and up. 4-part move. Last one. Good job. All right, so those curtsy lunges. So we're alternating here. So all that I ask is if you're doing those knees, let's hold it for 3 seconds, all right? So nice set stance. We curtsy, bring that knee up, and hold, and release. Curtsy, bring that knee up, hold, release. So we're feeling a little bit of a break since we're alternating here. But I really want you guys to be making sure, it's hard to do it on carpet. So if you're doing it on carpet, you feel me. But we're just relaxing, bringing that knee, bracing that core as we lift. Doing a lot of balance challenges today. And those hands can really be anywhere. Feeling it in the side of that glute. 5 seconds. Last one here, last rep. Amazing. All right, guys, and down for those hip dips. Again, up on your hands or on your forearms, it doesn't really matter. 2, 1, ready, go. So, hip, dip. The main thing is that we're not really dipping all the way down to the mat, right? Depending on, that's not what we're going to do, what I just demonstrated. Instead, we're just trying to keep that butt at right around the same level, but rather than letting your butt dip, we're letting our hip, all right? So, still that nice, neutral spine, all the way through that plank should be nice and flat. Still no mountains, especially no valleys with this one. And we're just kind of letting our toes act as a pivot point as we roll over. If you need to come down to your forearms, go ahead and give that a try. That's usually where I like to do my planks. Just a little bit more difficult because you gotta make sure but our butt is not in the air. Last rep. Amazing. All right, guys, breathe it out. We're coming back up to our standing position for those bent over rows. 3, 2, set that stance for me. We shave the legs down. We row it up, squeezing those shoulder blades, back down and up. As you'll notice, guys, I'm really not speeding up too fast. The name of the game in 3x3x3 is always slow and controlled. Always, always, always. I sound like a broken record when I say it, but I really mean it. And that's why I love this class so much, because we're really able to cater the workout to your body, to whatever you would like to be doing for today. All right, we're squeezing like we got a pencil or maybe even a $100 bill, if you want to imagine that, between our shoulder blades. That's how we know we're really working the correct muscles, the trap muscles of our back, bracing that core. That was our last one. All right, so for those curtsy lunges, once again, I'm just dripping today. Nice set stance. Start to whichever side you'd like, and just try to keep that balance for about 3 seconds. Maybe play around with where your hands are, see which one works the best for balance. I think part of my problem is I'm like halfway off my mat, halfway not, but I want to make sure you guys can see me, so. Oh well. And again, if you'd like to, you can totally drop that knee. Just coming up, replacing, and then swapping. Really important with that front knee is that we're trying to make sure that it stays as close to pointing in front of you as possible. That's a really good goal to have. So in that regard, your curtsy doesn't have to be super, super big. The main idea though is to start feeling it in that different portion of your body. Last one. All right, go ahead and stop there, guys. Going down to the mat for our hip dips. Whew. All right, ready to go. So dip, come back to a set stance, and then dip. So almost what I kind of like to imagine is like we're making a rainbow with our hips and with our butt. All right, so coming down to the bottom of the rainbow, coming through the top, and then back. However, rather than using your entire butt, you're using your hips to form those ends of the rainbow. So there's the top, the end, the top, and the end. And again, you can be up on those forearms, or sorry, up on those wrists if you would like. You can also be on gorilla fists. That's another option if you've got wrist problems. Oh no, my video once again is cut. Last one. Crap. All right, guys, keep working. I think you guys can hear me. Nope, great, I'm just frozen. All right, well, keep listening. We're going to those bent over rows. Sorry if you guys can't see me anymore, but really all we've got left is cardio and these moves, which you've already seen me do. So back to those bent over rows, still making sure that those knees are getting nice micro bend, bracing to that core, thinking about that gaze. Sister's very sneezy today. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I live in Texas, so I think our allergies are finally coming into play this summer. All right, guys, we're almost there. Squeeze. Let's do 2 more reps. That's 1. And last one. Woo, I feel it. Ouch. All right, guys, back to those curtsy lunges. Again, this is our last time through, so maybe let's try adding in that knee, trying to hold that knee for even longer this time if we can. But if not, obviously, it is your body, your workout. I do want us to be focusing for this rep on where that knee, that front knee that's not curtsying, is. Making sure that it's still, just like with a regular lunge, regular squat, it's not coming over those toes, sitting in a nice, pretty much parallel position. If you lose your balance, that's totally fine because I do all the time. So feeling a little bit of activation in that quad by now. Last rep here. Amazing. All right, guys, come down to that mat for our last little section, at least of our strength work for those hip dips. Ready, set, go. So we're dipping up and then dipping back down. So for this, just like before, our gaze is nice and neutral, about 6 inches in front of us. Nothing crazy, just trying to make sure that as we do this, we don't let our bodies creep backwards, that our shoulders stay above either our elbows if we're on our forearms or above our wrists and our forearms if we're on our hands. Almost there, guys. Feeling it in those obliques, bracing, bracing, bracing. 3, 2, 1, come on up. All right, so for this last little section, we're gonna be doing some sprints. So we're gonna sprint for about 20 seconds. We'll take a 5-second break and another 20. Ready, set, go, let's sprint. So on my mark, we'll stop and break for 5 seconds, and then we'll get it going again. Whew. So if you want to, knees are up, our body weight is forward, and I'm so sorry, I don't think you guys can see me, but that's all right. Break. Get a breather. And let's go again. Ready, set, go, to the end, all the way through 0. Really getting that cardiovascular system involved. All right, guys, 7 seconds, we can do this. Get into that highest gear. 3, 2, 1, time. Wonderful, wonderful job. If my playlist is not already hit there, go ahead and click on one of the last 2 songs in the playlist. Meet me on your mat. We're actually gonna meet each other just laying on our backs on the ground. I'm gonna try to make this cool down as easy to follow as possible, considering you can't see me. So, laying flat on the mat, letting your feet hang, just letting your feet relax on the mat, letting your hands come overhead, and also relax on the mat, getting a nice full body stretch here. Maybe pointing those toes and stretching to those fingertips. And I'm gonna try my hardest to get to my breath. Fine, this is like the most difficult thing is after that last cardio to catch my breath, but you guys have a lot to be proud of. Y'all rocked it. So just breathe in here. All right, guys, awesome job. And when you're ready, we're gonna actually do our hamstring stretches on the ground. So take one of your feet, doesn't really matter which one, bring it up into the air. Your foot is directly over your hip and grabbing either behind your hamstring or behind your calf, but not directly on that knee. And from here, just press those shoulder blades into the mat, press those hips into the mat, flex that foot, and pull it toward you for a nice big hamstring stretch. So you can go all the way back down that leg. Using those hips and using those shoulder blades to work to your advantage can really get that stretch without you having to work too hard. Breathing through this one. Maybe if you want, pointing, flexing that foot, noticing how that feels. Maybe rolling through those ankles a bit. Whew. All right, guys, go ahead and replace that back on the mat. Give yourself a nice long stretch once again, and then we'll swap feet. So bringing that other foot up to the ceiling. Again, trying to get it directly over those hips if you can, and grabbing either behind your hamstring or behind your calf, but not directly on that knee. Pressing those hips into the floor, pressing those shoulder blades into the floor as much as you can. Maybe one of these feels a little bit less flexible today than the other. That is a-okay. Trust me, happens to me as well. All right, guys, and when you're ready, go ahead and replace that one back on the mat as well. Give yourself one last long stretch on the mat. And when you're ready, go ahead, bring those knees into your chest and rock yourself up into a seated position and come into a nice hip flexor stretch, just like what we saw in the beginning of class. All right, so one leg is forward in a lunge. This time, if you'd like, you can keep one knee up, the back knee up, or you can place it on the mat. And we're just going to press into that front knee for a hip flexor stretch. So feeling it basically to that back quad and up into your hip a little bit, up into kind of where your quad muscle and where your abdominal muscles, that right at that place where they meet. That's where you're feeling this stretch. All right, guys, let's swap legs. So other leg, same exact thing. That knee can be on the ground, that back knee can be on the ground, or it can be up in a nice long lunge. feeling it in that place right around your hip area where your quad and your abdominal meet. Hopefully my verbal cueing is enough for you guys to understand what I'm saying, but again, my apologies that the video is cut out for the second time. All right, guys, go ahead. Let's meet me in a standing position. We're gonna do some shoulder stretches, a chest stretch, and a back stretch, and then we'll be out of here. So go ahead, bring one of your arms across your body for a nice big shoulder stretch. We can have and connect our arm either above our elbow joint or below it, just tugging gently, feeling that shoulder stretch. Making sure that our stance, we got a nice micro bend in those legs as usual. We're not locking them out. All right, open up to that chest and swap. I'm also noticing where my camera froze, and it is just such a flattering position for me to be in. All right, guys, 2 last stretches. Once again, open up to that chest. What we're gonna be doing is pretending like there's a nice big tree in front of us. We're going to round through our spine and hug that tree in front, feeling that separation, those shoulder blades. Before we were tugging them together, now we're pulling them apart, feeling that nice big stretch in between them. Ooh, this is one of my favorite stretches. It feels so good. All right, and same exact thing. Let's pretend there's a tree right behind us. We're gonna connect our hands behind and press up through that chest, rounding this time, and squeezing those shoulder blades together as we open up through our chest. Feeling a little bit of a shoulder stretch here as well. All right, last time, let's bring our hands around in front of us. Give yourselves a nice big round of applause. Again, my name is Maddie. I'm so excited that you guys decided to share your Saturday with me. I believe I'm going to be teaching the same class on Wednesdays now at 5:30, I believe. It'll be back to its hour-long format. So if you'd like to join me for that, if that's maybe a more convenient time, it is for me, so I'm sure it is for you as well, then I would love to see you there. But if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I'm going to stop recording.